And just so everyone knows, this meeting will be recorded. It helps us with note taking and making sure we're able to respond to any follow-up questions and get everything answered as we continue to move forward with this project. And as we're just waiting for other people to join us, we will have you put your questions into the question and answer icon at the bottom of your screen, or you can also, if you're having any technical difficulties, feel free to use the chat and we'll help you with those as well. And we've got a whole panel of MDT and project consultants here to make sure we can answer all of your questions or get back to you very quickly if we don't have your specific answer today. So I think we can go ahead and get started. I know everybody's time is very valuable and we don't want to delay it. So again, welcome to the Lola Shephard Area Improvements Project in Southeast Helena. We're here today to share a little bit about the project. The meeting format is a webinar. So again, if you click on the bottom, if you look at the bottom of your screen, you'll see the question and answers and chat. We ask that you ask your questions in the question and answers icon, or if you have any technical difficulties, you can put them in the chat. And if that's just too complicated, just put your questions anywhere and I will get to them. We'll make sure we read out your questions and get the answers. With that, I am going to go ahead and turn it over to Ben, who is the MDT project manager, to introduce himself, and then he'll pass it off to Darren, who will start the presentation and answer your questions. Ben?
Thank you, Wendy. Hello, my name is Ben Schendel. I'm the MDT project manager, and I am working in conjunction with Darren at Kittleson. We're excited to show you what we've came up with so far in the design and answer any questions or comments that you might have.
Darren?
Great. Thanks. Hi, everybody. I'm Darren Hippensteel, a project manager with Kittleson and Associates, and I've been working on this project, the Lola Shephard Area Improvements Project, since the beginning of the design. I'm gonna kind of flip through some slides here in the presentation. So first thing I'd like to just go over is the overview of the meeting today. We'll go through and discuss the project goals. We'll look at the project background, where we've been on the project and where we're at now. We'll talk through the design elements that are proposed for improvements on this project. And then we'll have plenty of time at the end of the presentation to answer comments and questions that come in through the chat. As Wendy noted, if you do have comments and questions, click on that Q&A icon and place them in there. We'll address them as they've come in. And then if you have issues with that, like she said, just click on the chat and send her a direct message. And then finally, to close out the presentation, we'll talk about what's next and where we're going on the project. So specifically looking at project goals, the need for the project is due to a high frequency of crashes resulting from vehicles turning left onto US 12 from Lola Street. So this project is intended to address a high severity crash trend involving northbound left turning vehicles at Lola and eastbound through vehicles on the highway. The proposed improvements are needed to maintain a reasonable level of access for businesses and residential areas north and south of US 12, and to also minimize impacts for through moving vehicles on the highway. The project area is kind of an overview map. Generally, the project study area is about 300 feet west of the current intersection of US 12 and Nicole Street, which is roughly in the same alignment of Shepherd Way on the south, which is not connected currently to the highway. And then the project extends about a half a mile east of that intersection The project area includes both the north and frontage roads. So the north frontage road is Centennial Drive, and the south frontage road being North Street and Tricia Street. Looking at the project history and timeline, so due to the observed crash history within the area, Montana Department of Transportation applied for a Highway Safety Improvement Program funding grant through the Federal Highway Administration. You'll sometimes hear it referred to as HSIP or HSIP. This is to address and mitigate the safety issues that were observed at the project location. The project was awarded HSIP funding and began preliminary design in 2018. The initial work conducted on the project looked at multiple alternatives through an analysis and evaluation process. The options were to address the safety issue at the intersection. The preferred concept was selected in March of 2019 and included a new traffic signal on the highway, bifurcation of the frontage road to better manage access on the highway, and installation of a roundabout at Lola Street and Nicole Street to facilitate the accesses to residents and businesses along the frontage road. Concept design, which is approximately a 30% design level, was completed in the spring of 2020. And we're currently at the final design phase of the project, which is about a 60% design level. It's also worth noting that public involvement and outreach has occurred throughout the project. We had an open house in person in March of 2019, followed up with virtual open house meetings in the spring of 2020. So looking at some specific improvements for the project, gonna pull up my little pointer here as I look at things. So we are installing a new traffic signal or proposing a new traffic signal at US Highway 12 and Nicole Street. So that's right here at this intersection. We'll reroute traffic on Shephard Way to the west to access US 12 at 18th. So that's here, heading to the west. We'll reconstruct North Street between the new intersection and just east of Lola Street to accommodate the improvements. We'll have a new single lane roundabout here at North Street and Lola Street intersection. We'll be removing existing unnamed accesses here at Lola, here at Elaine, and this one here, which is mid-block between Florence and Colleen. We'll remove and reinstall some of the median island, I should say, on US 12 to help facilitate those access changes. We'll have pedestrian improvements here at the new traffic signal intersection, as well as at the Lola Street intersection, and lighting at both intersections to improve nighttime visibility. Focusing a little bit more on pedestrians and access from the project. In today's current situation, the nearest marked crossings for pedestrians to this location is the 18th Street intersection, which is signalized, and the Crossroads Parkway intersection, also signalized. Those two crossings are about 1.5 miles apart from each other. This project, constructed approximately here where you see the pedestrian icon, will just about cut that distance in half for pedestrians and bicyclists crossing the highway. So focusing a little bit more on the improvements at the intersection, as you can see this icon for the new traffic signal, we will have a marked crossing of Nicole Street here to maintain that connection of the multi-use path that's on the highway today on the north side, as well as a marked crossing of the highway here, providing that accommodation for pedestrians and cyclists to access the frontage road and Shephard Way and businesses and residences along the frontage road. This will include ADA compliant curb ramps for accessibility on all sides of the intersection with the marked crossings. So it's a relatively quick summary of the improvements that we're proposing for the project and where we've come. Happy to take any of your questions or comments at this point and address those as they come up.
So far we don't have any questions or comments in the chat or in the question and answer. Again, if you have those, you can type those in. You'll find the icons, just click on the icon at the bottom of your screen, and we're happy to answer those. It's a pretty quiet group today. Maybe everybody's had all their questions answered. All right, so we do have our first question. How does splitting the frontage road improve access?
Yeah, thanks for that question. One of the discussion points that came up during the concept development phase was just the overall volume of traffic that is going west along the frontage road to the traffic signal at 18th Street. The intent of breaking the frontage road at Shephard Way solves a couple of the issues on the project. Of course, the primary concern is the safety component and enhancing the safety by putting all of those left turning movements at the traffic signal that could go during protected phasing at the intersection. It was also acknowledged that there's a lot of volume that goes to 18th Street and could not make the connection from Shephard to the frontage road because of grade changes at the frontage road. And so the concept that was developed cut the frontage road off at Shephard, sent that traffic down to 18th Street as it does today, and then everything on the east side goes to the new traffic signal at Shephard Way.
And Darren, if you could maybe go back to slide 8, so we have that map up as we're answering questions. I think
Sure.
That would be really helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, so kind of reiterating that point here at the intersection, there is a grade difference between Shephard Way and the frontage road. And so putting the traffic signal here, separating out or consolidating those left turns into one location could not be accommodated as easily if we left this frontage connection here. All of those backups that you see at 18th Street from the frontage road would just be channelized to this intersection as well. And so to separate that out, that's how we ended up with a break in the frontage road.
Great, thanks. And we have a question from Ron Bolin. What is the timeline for right-of-way discussions with property owners? So when will they be contacted about what is going to happen to their property?
Yeah, thanks for that question. And Ben can back me up here too. We do have our in-person open house next week where we're presenting the design from the 60%. We've started the process of defining what those impacts are, and we'll be reaching out to property owners soon, I would say within the next several weeks to maybe a month at most to start those discussions.
Yep, thank you, Darren. So as you were saying, we do have the public meeting next week. I will try to reach out to you today or tomorrow, Ron, and try to get something scheduled for a time that works with you, that you can get a little more feedback on what's going on and how that directly relates to your property.
And Lori, did you have a comment you wanted to make?
No, we're just looking at some of the website updates.
Great, thank you. Do we have any other questions? So far we don't have any other questions. Ron again has a question. Is there an on-site meeting planned? And Ron, I assume you mean specifically with the specific property owners so you can understand what's going on your property.
Yeah, and I'll take this first, and then Ben can chime in if needed. That when Ben said that he'd reach out to you specifically, Ron, that would be our intent, is to meet with you and be maybe on site if we can get that scheduled even for next week. We can go through the proposed improvements with you and the potential impacts.
And Ron says, thank you. He would appreciate that. Perfect. Are there any other questions or comments at this time? If not, we'll go to the next steps.
Okay. Yeah, so as I think I noted at the beginning of the discussion, we will, and I've said a couple of times actually, we have an in-person open house scheduled for next week, Wednesday, March 22nd. This will be, presenting the exact same information that was discussed on the virtual presentation today. The time of the meeting is from 6:30 to 6 p.m. Excuse me, 3:30 p.m. to 6 p.m. And will be located at the Hampton Inn at 725 Carter Drive in Helena. In addition to that, we do have a project website, which the address is listed here on the screen. I also, for me, it's easier. I just go into a search menu and type in Lola Shephard MDT, and the project website is the first thing that pops up, if that's easier to get to it that way. But the same information that was presented today is located on the project website. In addition to that, if you have additional comments that we were unable to answer today, or if you think of something different, you can submit those comments at the project website as well, which is also listed at the link below.
And just to summarize that open house from 3:30 to 6, you can drop in at your convenience, get your specific answers, your specific questions answered. There really isn't a formal presentation. That's just nice one-on-one time with the project team when you can come by. And also on the website, there is a visual simulation, a video fly-through of what the project looks like, and some more specific details, some frequently asked questions. So that might additionally help answer some of your questions. And there is also the contact information for the project team that you can always reach out to. So with that, we have another question. I see the tentative construction is scheduled for 2025. How many months is construction estimated to be, and are certain months being targeted? So what do we know about the construction timeline?
Sorry for flipping through the slides. I was trying to bring this timeline back up, and I may pull on Claire too to refresh my memory on overall construction timeframe. We would anticipate the project being a one-season construction. We will continue to develop the overall construction schedule as we work through final design, and provide more updates on the project website as we work through what we call PS&E, or basically the final design process.
All right, last call for any questions or comments that you want to share. So it doesn't look like we have any other comments or questions. I would like to thank everybody for attending today and taking your time out to learn a little bit more about the project. Ben, I don't know if you wanted to say anything in closing.
Sorry. Again, I just wanted to thank everybody, and if anything comes up, feel free to stop by and talk to us at the in-person open house or submit a comment on our website, and we'll try to get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you.
Again, thanks everybody for attending. And with that, we'll go ahead and close out the meeting. And I know the team hopes to see you next week at the in-person meeting, and feel free to reach out at any time.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
I think this is a highway engineering solution, which doesn't serve well for an urban design. Nationally, these multi-lane arterials are very unsafe for users that are not in cars, and they just take up a lot of space and a very poor land use for urban environments. The lane widths are very excessive for cities. 12-foot wide lanes are interstate width lanes. People are comfortable driving 80 miles an hour. The intersection creates very long pedestrian distances. They're 100 feet long, which are just extremely long. The city of Helena has a complete street policy. I asked the MDT to try and incorporate some complete street design, since this is in the city of Helena. Also, it's known that the land to the south, Padbury Ranch, is at some point going to be developed. That should be a consideration in the urban connectivity. Also to the north, there has a master plan, a east-west connector to connect over to East Helena, and there should be north-south connectivity. And then my last comment is a little bit off of this project, but the street or approach behind Hampton Inn on the east side of Hampton Inn, there's very large curb returns, and they are very unsafe for pedestrians, bicyclists. The stop sign is obscured. This is a pretty heavily used non-motorized corridor because of the presence of the Helena Pre-Release Center. So, and it also is a portion of Centennial Trail. There are people that use Centennial Trail that go from East Helena out to the Fort Harrison and bike commute. So I'd ask you look at that for consideration as well. So those are my comments. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Greg, for those comments. And looks like we also, thank you for providing them in writing as well. So I'll have Darren talk just a little bit about the HSIP program and the funding restrictions with that. We're going to let some other people into this meeting, and then we'll start using the chat and question and answers. So
Sure.
Darren, you want to just do a quick review there?
Yeah, thanks, Greg. One thing I will say that we did look at vehicle being able to turn around up Shephard Way with the creation of that left turn, or that turning from the frontage road into Shepherd. But I've made a note of what you said as far as fire code violation is something we'll circle back on and just verify. With regard to the connectivity, bike ped connectivity on the frontage road, we kind of went through this in the presentation as well, and I may have responded to your one of your comments that you provided on the website previously, but the project is funded through the HSIP program, which is very specifically for safety improvements, for providing a multi-use path or sidewalk on the frontage road as part of the improvement solution. We could not fund that with HSIP. Our design accounts for it in the future, but it doesn't preclude it, but it's not included at this time. But we do provide specific enhancements for safety, not only for motorized users, but also for bicycle and pedestrian connectivity, having a marked crosswalk at the new traffic signal across Nicole Street, which doesn't exist today. So there's no enhancement there for the trail, and then also crossing of the highway to the south frontage road, all with ADA compliance, curb ramps and connections in mind. And there still is a sidewalk connection making the connection from the new traffic signal to Shephard Way. So the connectivity is still there along the frontage road and the highway. And I don't know, I'll maybe set it aside for Gabe or anyone else if they want to add to that.
I guess if I may, Greg, if I could just follow up with a question for you, and forgive me, I think I might have missed this detail at the front end. I think you mentioned you work for the city of Helena, and I guess I just wanted to confirm that these are your comments based on your own personal desires. There, it seemed like there was some relationship to somebody in the city of Helena information, and if you're doing that in an official capacity or from your personal side, just a clarification on that.
These are my personal comments. I am a volunteer with the City of Helena Non-Motorized Travel Advisory Council.
Thank you.
I also noticed we have Bill join us. So Bill, since we had some confusion with meetings, I wondered if you had any comments that you would like to share?
I'm just concerned about the traffic going towards 18th Street. Is there any projects in the future that are going to clean up that intersection?
Thanks. So any projects to clean up 18th Street?
Well, I'll address one thing first, and that is with the proposed solution in the new traffic signal at Shepherd and Nicole, there should be a reduction in traffic at 18th Street, as users on the frontage road won't have to go all the way to the west at 18th to have that signalized connection to the highway. Whether there's a project or not, that's I'll turn that over to Ben or someone from MDT to answer.
Well, I don't know if there's an MDT project planned at this point. Not to say there won't be one in the future, but we do believe that, like Darren said, that this project should help the traffic in that intersection based on the traffic data.
Yeah, and I can add a little bit to that. You're right on point. The scope of this project was pretty narrowly defined to address the very specifically fatal and serious injury crashes there at Lola. And that's where the HSIP money came in. So the limits of this project are pretty strictly defined. But Bill, I guess I would encourage you, as part of this project, you're more than welcome to provide comments. If you would like to see that 18th intersection cleaned up as part of a different project, that is something we can consider through this process and forward that on to those who hold the funds and the ability to do that. That has been a conversation I'm aware that happened many years ago, and it wasn't something that carried forward, but it's a new day, and we can look at that. We won't look at it necessarily as part of this project, but we can consider that, especially if we get public comments as part of this process.
It seems to me you're shoveling more traffic down that way. Everybody west of Shepherd's Way has now got to go towards 18th to get on the highway to go east and back into Helena.
Yeah, there's, I guess, specifically on that, Bill, there's still an access point to the highway that's just to the west of Shepherd Way that would allow any traffic looking to go eastbound on the highway to access there. They wouldn't need to go back to 18th Street necessarily. For westbound traffic, they would likely go back to 18th.
Yeah, but isn't that creating the same situation you're clearing up at, Tricia?
I mean, I guess it would be no different than what's happening today. They would, have the opportunity to go to the traffic signal at 18th instead of going to any of the uncontrolled or existing uncontrolled accesses on the highway.
Okay.
Thanks, Bill. All right, so we still have a few people that are jumping in over on the Teams meeting. Claire's trying to get them redirected over here. We have 2 people. So if we can just sit tight for a minute. Greg and Bill, if you have any other questions, feel free to put them in the chat.
And while we're waiting for anybody else, Greg and Bill, what we did indicate as well previously in the call was that there is the in-person open house next week. That's on the 22nd, which is Wednesday, and it's at the Hampton Inn, 725 Carter there in Helena. So just not far from this project, but that's from 3:30 p.m. to 6. If you have additional comments or want to connect with the design team, please come and join us there.
And there is quite a bit of additional information on the project website as well.
This is Greg Worth. Unfortunately, I'll be out of town for the in-person meeting. I would ask that, if we proceed with this solution, can there be curb bulb outs put on the new intersection just to reduce the pedestrian crossing distances?
Mm-hmm. It's something that we look at, Greg, with the designs, and we have to also factor in turning vehicles that are being served by the frontage roads. Specifically, we have some car dealerships and other businesses that do have larger semi-truck access that we have to consider as well, and that does drive the size of, or I guess the radii on the curb return, so that the trucks can make the movement without having to hop over the curb and ultimately the curb ramps. So it has been a consideration, and we've tried to minimize those as much as possible.
Can you put bulb outs out and then lower them? Just so, it seems like we're sacrificing pedestrian connectivity for the sake of large vehicle movements.
Yeah, I think maybe what you're suggesting is like a truck apron style design that that allows for that little bit of raised concrete in front of the curb. I'll note that down, and we can discuss that.
Thank you.
And one thing that we will do is we will summarize all the comments received and put a response to those once we get through the public information meeting next week as well. All right, it does not look like that we have anyone else joining us from the Teams meeting. We're kind of monitoring that on the side to make sure we can get people redirected. So I think we have answered everybody's questions. We could probably hang out for a few more minutes just to see if anyone else jumps over.
I see this is being recorded.
Yes.
Is it going to be available on the website? Because I missed the first part of this meeting, probably as you were going through the plans or something. Is it going to be available online?
Ben, do you, or Michelle, does some, or Natalie, can you give me some guidance on how that's posted?
I don't have any guidance, but yes, the recording will be posted on the project website probably within this week or next week.
Okay.
Thank you.
Wrong button. Sorry.
I'll need to do the transcript and stuff, so it'll probably be at least a week.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so we haven't had anyone new join. Sorry, I'm trying to monitor two meetings at the same time, so. right, well, that may be it. We're about 10 minutes from finishing up, so I don't know that people would jump in this late in the game. So I again encourage Bill, Greg to go ahead and visit the website. Hopefully you can join with the open house or follow up with any questions. The contact information's there, and we'll be happy to get back to you. And we will be posting this to the website as well as a written summary of everybody's comments and responses so that you can see what other people are asking as well. So MDT team, do you want to go ahead and close out the meeting, or do you want to wait the last 10 minutes and just be extra sure?
I think we'll be okay. I think Michelle might have to close it out, right? Because she's the meeting organizer.
I can end it for all.
All right. Thank you, everybody.